All right. 3, 2, 1. Welcome to ATL United podcast. I'm Blake the Marshman, once again for episode number 35, joined by my co-host,
ATL Joe.
Joe, do you think anyone listens to this show?
Well, yeah, my dad listens for sure, and your grandma.
Oh, yes. Mimi definitely listens. I'm not really sure about the rest of our supporters, but if you're listening, and we hope you are.
Oh, they definitely are, Blake. Come on, it's Atlanta United. We're on a mad playoff run.
We're on a mad playoff run. We are in, and we're coming into, the running of the Bulls. We face the Red Bulls in our big showdown this Sunday, September 30th, at Red Bull Arena. Not as ominous as it sounds. I think we're going to go in there. We're going to take care of business. We're going to bring home the supporter shield.
Hype Depot.
Thank you guys once again for joining us. We are super excited to bar your ears for the next 40 minutes or so as Joe and I ramble about how we are going to take the shield home. Once again, if you guys like the show, please just hit subscribe. Like that'd be a really nice thing to do. It would make Joe and I feel happy because we don't know if anyone's listening. Let's do this thing.
Need everybody involved. We ready. Some days I smile like Mickey. Everybody united around my city. Mercedes Benz sound real pretty. Come stop for me and I'm ready.
And thank you to all our listeners. We got multiple wonderful comments the past couple of weeks. And keep it up. If you haven't given us a 5-star rating for the 5 stripes, we would love it. And we appreciate all your support.
Blah, 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 self-promotion. We're done with that. We do thank you guys. Hey, we got news in Atlanta, Joe. Atlanta streets are alive. And they're not just alive with birds and limes and electric scooters being left everywhere. They are also alive in this awesome promotion put on by the Atlanta Bicycle Coalition to block off large portions of major city streets throughout the year and open it up for bike and foot traffic. There's tons of vendors. I've been before when it was in West Midtown. It's going to be in Midtown this Sunday, the day of the game. Hopefully we have a great day of weather. This is an awesome chance to get outside, walk around on the streets, and not worry about cars. You'll probably still have to worry about the birds.
It looks like the rain's going to hold off, and this is good. I was there when it was in Grant Park, started Grant Park side and went through People's Town and all the way down. It's a fun event. Bunch of live street music going on. There's a couple other cool events that are going on. There's Flux projects going on at Grant Park. So there's another thing you can do over the weekend. Check it out. You go to historic Grant Park and have a cool little festival deal art project going on. So check that part out.
Yeah, I mean I think that's an awesome thing that a lot of people don't know about. Just giving voice to the historic green space is what they talk about. Grant Park's actually celebrating its 135th year. So if you guys live in Atlanta, you live around Atlanta, you've never been to Grant Park, you've never seen how beautiful Grant Park is, you guys should get out there. It's an awesome place, fantastic neighborhood. I know you live Grant Park. You used to live right around there, didn't you, Joe?
Yeah, I did. I lived walking distance to it, and that was one of the best places I've lived in the city. So I highly recommend going and checking that out.
If you're Greek, there's the Atlanta Greek Festival. I love Greek food. Not Greek, though. What about you, Joe? Are you Greek?
No, not Greek, but I plan on going to Greece in the near future.
Exciting stuff. Congratulations to the Atlanta Braves. We are an Atlanta United soccer/football only podcast, but
Blake, remember that time I taught Joseph Martinez how to chop?
Oh yeah, there might be a video of that on social media if you guys want to check it out.
We'll have to repost that of me chopping and Joseph Martinez looking at me like, what the hell are you doing, man?
Yeah, I mean, I also don't know if anyone even looks at our social media, but if you guys do, you should, what do people do these days? Did they heart or did they double tap or they thumbs up?
All of the above.
Give us some cool emojis. Maybe like a cool Cali emoji.
Mm-hmm.
I saw one the other day. It's not a thumbs up. It also like releases this finger on the end of your hand. What do you call that finger? Your index finger. So it's like, stay pitted, bro. Like from our West Coast trip.
The hang loose sign.
Yes, hang loose. That's what I was looking for. All right. the Braves made the playoffs. That's cool. Let's talk about something that is huge news for the club. Mercedes-Benz Stadium has announced that they're actually going to be opening up the stadium, it looks like, for at least 6 games, full venue for 2019. More details to come. That just broke yesterday, Thursday the 27th. And what do you think about the atmosphere, Joe? I think I wanted to hit on this, but just briefly. For the full venue matches compared to the curtained off upper deck, I sometimes feel like it's more exciting when we have it more intimate. That's just my personal opinion, but I do like letting more fans in. What do you think?
I've had the view that you just had recently, but then I went and watched this past game on TV, seeing the whole stadium and how loud and exciting it got. It was really loud, and you could hear everybody chanting. That full 70,000 fans really electrifies it. And I think the more and more that we do the 70,000 fans, and the fact that they're opening up as a ticket purchasing option, people who are on the waiting list for season tickets have the option to go to all the 70,000 fan games as a season ticket budget option. And so it's adding to the atmosphere. But in games past, I've seen where it's the 45,000, more intimate environment. Everybody is into the chants and is there for a reason. So I see it from both sides. But if we can get a full 70,000 group out there involved in the chants and getting rowdy and involved in the entire game, that's unbeatable for an atmosphere.
I agree completely. I think that we just need to bring the heat when we pack the bin. So challenge to the fans, if you're up in the 300 levels, get loud. Don't sit. I mean, I know everyone's supposed to sit up there. Or are they? I don't know. I just feel like everyone in 300 level sits. Moving on. The team has hired Chase, and I'm going to screw up his last name, Falivene, as Director of Player Administration. What does that mean? He handles all of our player contracts. And we know the MLS is incredibly complicated when it comes to TAM, GAM, FAM, MAM, and all the other BAMs about allocation money. It's the most complicated league in the world. We have sort of a salary cap. We sort of don't. We can only have a certain amount of international players. Then we can get them a green card. And then sometimes they're designated players. It doesn't make sense to me. And I've read like 50 pages of material trying to understand it. Anyways, this guy's worked for the Falcons for the past 11 years. And he was a manager of football administration. Now he's moving over to the right kind of football. And he was also in charge of player contracts with the Falcons. So I'm excited about this.
It's an interesting move that we had to make there. We lost Paul McDonough, who's been in charge of player operations. And so we took a little different route instead of getting someone who's familiar with MLS. And we brought on a guy who's just familiar with Arthur Blank and his day-to-day business. He's been dealing with salary caps with Atlanta Falcons. And so we're just keeping it in-house and maybe not using a little bit less money to spend on someone and having someone just kind of less responsibility and keeping our front office intact as is.
I agree. I think it's a fine move. I don't think we're really messing up player contracts as it stands. I still don't think that Ezekiel Barco should make more money per year than Joseph Martinez. Maybe that could be his first line of duty. We have clinched a first-round bye in the playoffs.
Woo!
Yeah, baby. And I can't even tell you how crucial this is, Joe, because last year, obviously, we made a great run towards the end. We opened up Mercedes-Benz in the second half of the season, went on a killer win streak. We beat New England like 7-0 in that process, leading up to the playoffs, and we fell flat against the Crew. I don't want to bring up bad memories, but we were in a one-off game that year. Yes, we got a home game, but it was a one-game knockout game, similar to the MLS Cup final, which will hopefully be in Atlanta this year. But what I'm getting at is now we have a two-legged tie, a more traditional soccer tie, if you will, where it's decided between a home game at the Benz and an away game at our opponent's stadium. Opponents yet to be decided, but that first-round bye is crucial. We can get healthy, we can get ready, and we know that if we have one off game, we still have another chance to bounce back. So I'm pumped about this first-round bye. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, you said everything that I wanted to say. It means so much that we don't have to play in just a one-game scenario, which we did not do so well in last year. But it also, last year, leading up to that game, we were so tired with having a compact schedule at the end. We were tired, injury depleted. Michael Parkhurst couldn't even start that game. So I want to finish out this regular season being healthy, and then the fact that we're going to have a home and away after the first round bye, after a team's already had a very troublesome first game. It just speaks good vibes.
Let's talk about MLS awards, which we always win. Team of the week this week, Gressel and Almiron made first team. Joseph, Tito were on the bench, but they're all on the roster, and Tito wins goal of the week.
More Atlanta domination.
Just continue to dominate. Speaking of interesting news involving Tito, he has completed his paperwork to officially be a Paraguayan. What are your thoughts on that? He's actually been called up to the Paraguay national team along with Almiron from Atlanta United and Kaku from the MLS. So I think this is exciting. This is probably Tito's chance to get some attention on the national level. His dad is from Paraguay, so Tito has just as much of a right to Paraguay as he does Argentina. And let's face it, the Argentinian national team is a tough one to break into that starting 11.
Yeah, and this is great news. And it was something that broke a couple months back where Tito and Kaku were transferring over to become Paraguayan because they had a sort of lineage that they could get in there. But now we got a chance to watch Tito and Almiron play together on another team outside of Atlanta United, which is going to be very exciting to watch. And just keep your eyes and ears out to see if they try to persuade or show some sort of lineage with LGP and bringing him up. So another guy that's going to have a troublesome time making their national team. LGP is probably like, hey, is there a way I can jump over to another nationality?
I think I have a cousin from Paraguay.
I think that might work.
Let's see what we can do. We need to get our green card lawyer on that one. Tata. Talk about Tata. Everyone's talking about Tata. Personally, I don't think we should talk much about Tata. We need to stay focused on the season. But we have to admit that this October the 1st cutoff is pretty much the cutoff that Tata's come out and said, and the front office has said, passive-aggressively, if you will, that there's going to be a decision made on Tata's future at this point. His contract's up at the end of this year, and there's a lot of speculation. We're going to talk about this a little bit later in the show.
Yeah, Blake, I've got a lot of opinions on this Tata Martino saga that we're going through right now, but I kind of want to hold off, guys. Listen to the end of our show. I might give you a little bit more speculation into the rumors and what could become.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know what is in Tata's head, but since he listens every week, Tata, just hear what we have to say.
Blake, I don't want to be hurting too much. Can you tell me, is there anyone in Atlanta that's hurting?
Injury report. Injury report.
All right. We don't really have anything to report on the injury front. I think Barco's lip is still a little bit damaged on the inside from that finger that touched his lip in the San Jose game, which then hit his braces. I think his braces, tore into his upper lip a little bit. I guess that's why he didn't start last game. Not really sure.
You're telling me Barco doesn't know the magic of vitamin E that you can kind of put on there and clear canker sores?
It's been a long time since I had braces. Does he have the rubber bands? Did you ever have the rubber bands? Do you have braces ever?
I had some braces, but it's been too long, though. I can't remember.
Maybe it was a rubber band injury. Anyways, something I did want to report on. Larry and Chris McCann are actually going to be suspended after their next yellow card. Just a little yellow card watch on the injury report. Think we need to point that out. They got to be careful this next game. And then it's all the same. We got fullbacks out. We always have fullbacks out. Garza, still out. Sal Zizzo, who cares? Mikey Ambrose had surgery. He's out. That's really everyone that's hurt on our team. We're back full strength. Let's keep it going. Let's recap that last game.
And Blake, we get another win. We come back home and we did our job. And the biggest highlight I want to talk about the game is the fact that we started 16-year-old George Bello. And how impressive was he? A 16-year-old, and he played 70 minutes, and I thought he had a wonderful game. Give me your thoughts on George.
This is the left back we were looking for. This really is. I love Chris McCann. I think he has been a really solid player for us. But I forgot how dynamic our team is when we have speed at that fullback position. When we are firing on all cylinders and we have guys flying up and down so that our wingers can cut inside and they have overlapping runs coming from the left and right back. Tata's, and honestly, it's just an attacking tactic. It's so much more effective with a speedy left back like George Bello. He was so calm under pressure, coming out to 70,000 plus in the bins. This kid is 16 years old. He's the one that should have braces. And he comes out and he didn't really put a foot wrong. There was not a moment in this entire match, and I watched every second of it, that I said, "What are you doing, Bello?" And I say that about most of our players at some point in the game. Like, what are you doing? Didn't happen for Bello this game. Fantastic debut.
What's incredible for me there is that 16 years age, he is just a lot of raw talent there. He's got so much more to build on, and it already looks that impressive. And it's just, like you said, adding that speed, you can see the difference between his game and McCann's game. And it was what we had with Garza, precursor to McCann, where Garza had that speed and working with him, but Bello's even faster than Garza. And it's kind of our hopefully long-term replacement we can get there for Garza if Garza is a long-term injury and constantly injured.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I see the future with Garza being our starter if he returns to full fitness. But then what great depth we have at left back, because we still have Hernandez, who came in actually for Bello this game. It was great to see him get on the pitch. We have Bello, and then Mikey Ambrose was playing really well before he got hurt, and he's still coming back from injury. So left back all of a sudden is a very, very strong depth position for us. Bello, a kid, growing up in Douglasville, Georgia, a homegrown kid. You just gotta love this.
He's also one of our own.
He's one of our own.
He's also one of our own.
He
is also one of our own.
Even though he was born in Nigeria, his family moved to Douglasville, Georgia at a young age. And this kid is getting scouted by European teams. Hopefully we can hold on to him for a couple more years. But George Bello is a stud in the making, and he's already just looked right at home.
Yeah, and you mentioned our left back depth, and then I want to flip it to the other side of the field, and a player that I thought was our MVP of the game, who played incredible, Gresselmania.
Gresselmania!
Coming to your town Saturday, Gresselmania. More assists, more goals.
And possibly the MVP of the entire season. I know early on I think you had Michael Parkhurst as your MVP. This team, and we've talked about this guy as a Swiss Army knife. He can play anywhere. He can do anything. And he scores a fantastic goal this game, Joe. Fantastic volley.
Yeah, it was up for goal of the week and very well could have gotten it if Tito Villalba didn't have another golazo of his own. And that they were neck and neck. They were both really well played. Maybe Gressel's was more of a team goal with Darlington Nagby getting that wonderful steal, playing it up to Almiron, who played it down the touchline, had a nice touch cross to Gressel, trapped it off his chest, and hammered it home.
The stadium went absolutely nuts. I think that Gressel has really captured the hearts and the passion of our fans. Even just following him on social media, looking at his interaction with the city. This guy was at the PGA event the next day, out there in a Atlanta United golf polo, schmoozing with the fans when Tiger came back and won that first tournament in so long. So it was just really cool to see, honestly, the love that Mercedes-Benz and the Atlanta United fan base has for Gressel, how that has developed, and the fact that this guy is making about as much as your average corporate Joe in Midtown makes it all the better, because this was just a guy playing college soccer. This is not some stud from Germany. Yes, he's German. He's gone ahead and he's married, an American wife, and he's really adapted to the city here in Atlanta.
And like you mentioned about this Gressel love and that he's married to this Atlanta wife, I heard this wonderful rumor. I don't know how much truth there is behind this rumor, but it makes just me salivate as a U.S. national supporter that Gressel is trying to become a citizen of the United States so he can become a member of the U.S. men's national team, or at least get in that pool. How incredible would that be? I don't want to speculate too much into rumors, but when it talks about my two favorite teams and one of my favorite players, I can't help but mention it.
I mean, he's been here a long time. Obviously, he played at Providence for college soccer in the NCAA starting in 2013. Played there for a while, and honestly, Gressel, we've long been huge fans of yours. We try to fly the Gressel Mania flag when we can at home games, and we're just ready to see more and more of this. A couple other points I wanted to make from this game, and we'll move on, Joe. Franco Escobar playing center back looked really good, and we can kind of debate this later. What is Franco Escobar's true natural position? Because he's kind of built more like a center back than a speedy right back, but he can play either one.
A short answer, I'd say it was more of a hybrid.
More of a hybrid, I agree with you. Nagbe, once again, what a rock to be back in our team. He only had 91.7% passing accuracy this game, so what are you doing, Darlington?
Yeah, we need to get that up.
And let's not forget about he's big, he's tall, he's the wall.
Mr. Clean Sheet.
Great game from Goose.
Give it up. Another clean sheet to add to his record. Props to the defense for playing a solid game. Props to the solid possession that we had. But Goose came up with about 2 or 3 really good saves to keep it at a 0 score line.
Great offside trap implemented by our defense. We caught them offside, I think, 5 or 6 times. And you could see that trap in the works. We'll talk about it a little bit more in the tactics. But for any fans of tactical soccer, perfect offside trap executed by Atlanta United this last week.
Well, thank you to Goose. I think it's time for some brews.
Beer of the week!
Every week.
That's right. Another time for another IPA. And we got a special one for you this week. This one's called Making Love.
Like Macon, Georgia.
Yeah, it's from Macon Beer Company, excuse me. And it's a wonderful mellow IPA. I'm going to spike it in for you here real quick.
Macon made, Georgia grown.
ATL.
Joe. Yeah, this is a cool brewery. I've never had this beer before. It's been around since 2014, and it's from Macon, Georgia. And I've never been to Macon, Georgia. Maybe I've driven through. Have you been to Macon, Georgia?
I've driven through multiple times, stopped once for gas.
Cool. How's the gas station? Clean restrooms?
No, I have not much to say, but I'm drinking the beer, and it's very tasty. It's a rather light IPA. I'm looking only 5% alcohol, which is kind of on your lower end of a traditional IPA. It's got sort of that rosy cherry flavor, hint of cherry in it.
Yeah.
And it's really mellow to drink. I could definitely drink this all day long.
It's kind of like a fall beer. You know, it's inspired off of the Yoshino cherry tree is what the can says. And it has cherries and sweet aromas with a heavy pink foam. Kind of reminds me of fall colors, maybe spring, fall.
Yeah, it's a little
thing.
sweet in the flavor too. So I encourage you guys, if you can go find this at one of your local craft beer stores, Macon Beer Company. It's called Making Love. It's a ale. So you guys enjoy another beer and enjoy another win.
Hey, this is a great beer. Let's go ahead, Joe. We have arguably the biggest game in the history of Atlanta United coming up on Sunday. Let's preview that.
Yeah, and we got a huge game coming up, guys.
Huge. It's huge.
This is what it all comes down to. This very well, and we've been mentioning it for weeks, could be what decides the Supporters' Shield.
It's the biggest game.
And Atlanta United comes into this game with the upper hand. We have 4 points in the clear. So even if, God forbid I say this, we do come out with 0 points, we still would be leading the Supporters' Shield race by 1, and it would come down to our final 3 games and New York's final 3 games if we can stay on top of them. But if we can win this game, we could almost clinch it all just right out from the onset.
It'd be huge. Huge.
Are you saying, does that have an H in it?
It's huge.
How do you spell that?
U-U-G-E, huge. Heading to New York. Huge.
Okay. Carry on.
It'd be huge.
Atlanta United coming into the game with 4 wins and 1 loss in their past 5 games. Coming in pretty hot. That we had 1 blemish on our record. And then New York Red Bulls coming into the game. Their last 5. 3 wins, 1 loss, and 1 draw.
Dun, 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 dun. This is an epic matchup, Joe. I couldn't be more excited for this one on Sunday. I know it's Sunday afternoon. I know we're not going to have all of our fans in the Red Bulls arena, but we're going to have some up there. We're going to have a pretty good crowd traveling. This is it, man. This is like what we live for in a traditional, especially a traditional worldwide soccer format. This would be like the championship game decider for like the Premier League or the Bundesliga.
Yes. Yeah, it's so big. And I mentioned earlier that if we do happen to come out with no points, it goes down to those last three. But you look at the last three, and both New York and Atlanta play three teams that are not really in that playoff race. New York finishes with the lowly San Jose. They play Philadelphia, who is a playoff team. That could be a tough game. But then they go and play trash Lando to finish the season.
Yes, in the Orlando Phil.
Yeah, and Atlanta follows that up with a game against New England, who's fighting ever so hardly for that final playoff spot. I don't know if they're quite going to finish with it. Then they go to the lowly Chicago, who is crazy that they have not had a good season this year with how they played last year, but they are not good. And then we finish the season with Toronto, who is fighting desperately for a last playoff spot, but I don't think they're going to make it.
Yeah, I mean, two huge flops, Chicago and Toronto. Toronto won it all last year, and they won it with flying colors. They won the Supporters' Shield, they won the Cup, and then they went into the Champions League and almost won the CONCACAF Champions League. So, I mean, I don't know, Joe, what happened to Toronto this year. We'll cross that bridge when we get there, but I still don't think they're an easy write-off. Even at their position in the standings, that's a tough game.
And a little caveat, when we go into that game against Toronto, there is a very distinct possibility we could be playing the team who just set the record last year for the most points ever scored in an MLS regular season, and we could be playing that team and beat their own record in their own house, kind of add a little bit of insult to injury.
I love a little insult to injury. It's better than injury to insult.
Yeah, speaking of insult to injury, it's not necessarily an injury, but part of the biggest news coming into this game is Bradley Wright Phillips, Blake. What happened to him?
BWP, you know me. He picked up too many yellow cards, and he's out. And this could not be better news for Atlanta United because this guy is, without a doubt, besides Joseph Martinez, in my opinion, he is the most dangerous goal scorer in all of the MLS.
And he is. I mean, he's right behind Joseph. He's right up there with the top goal scorers in the league. He's got 19 goals on the season, and he's out for their most important game all year long. This would be very much a like for like if Atlanta was missing Joseph Martinez for this game. That's what the Red Bulls are facing with missing their talisman in BWP. He's got 19 goals and 8 assists.
I mean, the closest guy is Daniel Royer. He's got 10. And he's a great player, number 77 for the Red Bulls. This guy's from Austria. You know, he comes in and he does a really good job at scoring goals. He comes from, Austria. He plays a lot of different positions in the midfield. He's kind of like a Miggy type player. He could pop up with a goal or two, but they just don't have a really good striker replacement for BWP. And I think that's what's so crucial about this is it's kind of like us without Joseph. We could put Tito up there. We could maybe put Vasquez up there. We've put Romario Williams up there, and that didn't go so well. So they just don't have a great option.
Yeah.
It looks like it'll probably be Brian White.
Well, yeah. The last time they had to replace BWP, they gave him a day's rest, and they put in Brian White, who is this young kid out of college. He came in his very first MLS game, and he scored a goal that game, and New York won 1-0. And that goal, it wasn't anything special. He had the shot, deflected out, and they kind of got a deflection. A guy crossed it into the box, and Brian White tapped it in for a gift of a goal. And they've got another option in Etienne, one of this young Haitian. He was a homegrown player of New York, but he came from Haiti, and they call him the Haitian Messi is his nickname. But he has not lived up to that at all throughout the season. He's kind of had these high ups and high downs during the season. He's gone several games without a goal, but he's coming off a game in their last game that they played. He scored a goal and got an assist. So maybe they're going to ride his high tails and put him as that lone striker.
It's possible. It's possible. I think that White is a more likely option. This kid, he's from Jersey, which is pretty cool. He's a lot like George Bello coming up. He's only 22 years old, from Jersey, went to high school in the area, and I think the fans are going to have his back. a lot more than we have our backup strikers backs. Like Romario, he's almost been downgraded from Super Romario to just Romario. And honestly, Vasquez hasn't done much this year, if anything. So we don't have great backup striker options either. So I don't know. This is a toss-up, but Brian White might get it done. The fans are going to be right behind him.
They'll be right behind him, but you can't say it enough that they're going to be missing Bradley Wright Phillips. Just a couple of weeks ago when they were playing DC United, we were watching that game together, Blake, and we thought for sure DC was going to pull away, but Bradley just kept coming back and scoring goals. He scored 3 goals that game, the third of which came in the 90th minute to pull out a tie 3-3, where we were all like, oh my God, New York's going to drop some more points. And then, boom, out of nowhere, Bradley Wright Phillips gets another goal and gives at least salvages a point for them. And that's the type of player he's been all season long. He scores in more games than he doesn't score.
He's one of the best. He's one of the best for sure. He had one of the greatest goal celebrations of all time when he ripped off his jersey for number 100 in the MLS. I'll never forget that. Let's talk about just the Red Bulls in general. Going into this game, they're pretty hot. We're pretty hot, and they've had a couple more draws, but we both only have 1 loss in the past 6 games apiece. This is a epic showdown, and it's 1 p.m. on a Sunday afternoon. You would have thought they would have given this game like a prime time slot, because this is a championship decider, like I said.
It is, and not only on top of that, a bunch of Atlanta fans are going to kind of grind their teeth to this, but it's at the same exact time that the Falcons are playing too.
Yeah.
And you would hope to be able to watch the Falcons at home and then have a primetime event to watch your United at home at your home on your couch watching it in a lovely arena.
Of course, for our fans flying up to New York, nothing but mad respect. I won't be there myself. I will be supporting with passion from the great city of Atlanta. But you guys pull us through. Rowdy and proud. Whatever supporters group you're involved with, whoever's going up there, make it loud. And if we win this one, I'm not popping the champagne yet, Joe, but man, we are getting really close to that first silverware.
Oh, and if we win, a little deal here. If we beat New York, we all but clinch that CONCACAF Champions League berth. We don't clinch it because we'd be tied. If we lose out after that game and New York Red Bulls wins out, we would be tied in overall aggregate points. But I bet we win all the tiebreakers there. I haven't really dove into it. Or I bet at least we win one more game to where we're going to go ahead and clinch it.
Yeah,
So,
all our goals are in our hands. And I think that's what you're saying is we have the ability to make this season one of the greatest of all time. We could have the greatest season in MLS history for an MLS club. We could win the Supporter Shield. We could still win the MLS Cup, qualify for the CONCACAF Champions League. All of it's right in front of us. It's there for the taking. There's a lot of distractions on the side, but if we stay focused, we got this. You know I love quotes, so I'm just going to give you a few quotes from there. This is from Chris Armas, New York Red Bulls. He says, "Our team has always risen to the occasion in big matches, especially at home. We have a lot of respect for Atlanta. They have a lot of weapons, but we're looking to be the aggressors. We're going to go after them and make them earn everything they get. We had trouble when San Jose went after us when we were on the road. We're used to teams kind of sitting back. That's something to watch out for." I watched an interview with Robles, their fantastic goalkeeper. He was on ESPN FC, the show on ESPN. Robles was saying he kind of downplayed the match, and he was saying that basically they're focused on winning the cup. So he kind of went the American sports route, like playoffs. Let's talk about the playoffs. Who cares about the regular season? But like I said, I do not downplay the Supporter Shield at all. In every other league around the world, this is the championship. Whoever's the best team at the end of the regular season is the champion. And it would be such a fantastic achievement. Whoever tries to downplay it, if we do get there, Joe, I say let the haters hate. We're taking the silverware and we're planting it. I don't know, or would we hang it in the bins or would we just plant it into the turf? I'm not really sure.
it's to be determined. But you mentioned that high press are coming out to attack. And I've got to mention this. Atlanta United has never beaten New York Red Bulls. They came into our very first game in our inaugural season and beat us at home at Bobby Dodd. They beat us at home this year. And last year when we went to their place, they didn't beat us. We came out to a 0-0 incredibly no-goal draw.
Save of the year, I believe, from the Goose.
Yeah, it really worked out well in that. And I would take a draw during this match going into their territory, but I really want to come out with a win. And you know they're going to be coming out with a high press, Blake. I've got to mention, since they don't have BWP, and you just mentioned Daniel Royer as a threat to watch out for on the wing, but we got to say Kaku has got to be their go-to guy if you're going to be looking at their high press and who's going to be pulling the strings in that center midfield.
Definitely.
And if you listen to our preview of New York Red Bulls when they were coming to town, we went into deep detail about Kaku and how very similar he is to Miguel Almiron. You know, they got BWP that's kind of like a Joseph Martinez, and they got a Kaku who's like a Miggy Almiron.
Now they're national team teammates along with Tito Villalba. So they're good buddies away from this match. And another guy that, as a USA fan, we can't ever forget about talking is Tyler Adams. He is a fantastic defensive midfielder. And I have all the respect for Tyler Adams. I hope you have a horrible game on Sunday. But I love watching this kid play for the U.S., and I love watching this kid play when he's not playing against Atlanta United. Just incredible talent.
So a couple of guys, just to recap, to watch out for. Kaku, a guy who has 14 assists on the season. He's up there at Julian Gressel level. And Tyler Adams, who's going to be that defensive stronghold as a young kid. And then Daniel Royer, watch out for him as a guy that's going to try to score a couple goals on us. But other than that, Blake, let's break this down further. And how's Atlanta going to come out? And let's go to Tata's tactics.
New formation, new players. Is Tata preparing for the playoffs? Is he just showing that we're versatile? We came out this last game. I don't think anyone expected this lineup. I don't think anyone's expected Bello at left back, Escobar moving to center back, and we played that offside trap that I touched on earlier. We always play a high pressing line, but we cut them offside 6 or 7 times, and our players were prepared. Even Bello, a 16-year-old kid, he was ready. When they said step, you played soccer before, that back line stepped up, and we caught them offside so many times. Do you think with the fact that the Red Bulls have come out and said, hey, we're going to go at you, that we're going to say, okay, bring it on. We're going to press right back and try this offside trap again? Like, do you think that could be a strategy, especially with Bradley Wright Phillips missing? I think Tata might have been experimenting there.
Yeah, it was a good experiment too, and I just want to say that Tata Martino, with his rotation and different formations that he's throwing out, it speaks volumes to his confidence in all of our players. You know, we were able to start a 16-year-old Bello, and now that Nagby is back, and we got Remedy in the mix, and we still have Lorenowitz, who's such a key and vital point, and we still have all the different players that Escobar is back and healthy. We are doing a typical championship style of play where we can have heavy rotation at the end of the season. Heavy rotation meaning we can cycle in different players at different positions and still be confident enough that we're going to go out and get the result that we're looking for. And Tata Martino is never going to back away from his playing style, which that tiki-taka, pass the ball around as much as you want, but also the high-pressing, attacking midfield style. And we're not going to go away from that. So this is going to be an incredible game to watch with New York, who's a high-pressing team, and we're a high-pressing team with a bunch of defenders now that are breaking out of their shell and coming at you.
I mean, and I think this is a great arena to play in. I have all the respect for the Red Bulls, the fact that they play in Red Bull Arena, the fact that it's a soccer-only stadium, the fact that they don't play on a baseball field like their other friends from New York. And I think tactically speaking, we're going to be able to really see both these teams at their best. There are not going to be excuses about the pitch. There's not going to be excuses about the size of the field. Now, there are going to be excuses because BWP is not playing if we do take this one home. And I can confirm, Joe, I did the math. I did the research. If we win this game against the Red Bulls, we do qualify for the CONCACAF Champions League 100% with a win on Sunday. So I just wanted to confirm that. That's got to be in Tata's mind since we're talking Tata's tactics.
Oh, yeah, and that's huge coming up. And I want to mention this as we wrap it up. with Tata's rumors coming up around the corner. Before we get to that, I want to mention the fact that Ezequiel Barco was on the bench, Blake. And do you think Barco's going to be able to get a start this week?
I don't know where Barco fits in this team right now, Joe. We've played better without him, in my opinion. And he seems to be a little bit of a distraction. He came on late against San Jose, had the whole braces flop in the box incident. We still pulled that win out. I'm not saying he didn't make some good passes that game, but he's always lacking that cutting edge, that penetration in the final third where he really goes in on goal, makes a crucial pass or takes a shot that he needs to take. He seems to be very passive around the box. And I just don't see him, honestly, making up for the fact that he caused a lot of chaos in the middle of the season. And now he's not really performing on the field. Again, this is a higher paid player than Joseph Martinez salary-wise. And
you keep going back to that.
I keep going back to that because we're talking about we hired a new contract guy. We're talking about potential coaching changes. We're talking about a solid front office. The front office has to be looking at this guy and saying, okay, good option off the bench, but that's a lot of money to pay for a good option off the bench. We broke the MLS transfer record on this kid. We're paying this guy more than the all-time MLS goal-scoring leader for a single season. At some point, it's fine to ease him in. But at some point, we got to say, look, Barco, you got to perform, man. You got to step it up.
And Blake, I've got more of an optimistic outlook. It's an almost similar outlook that you've got. But to me, when I'm looking at a team, their salaries and what we paid to get them in here doesn't mean a thing to me. It's all about performance. And I'm looking at Barco, and I'm not totally disappointed in the way he performs. And I'm seeing him on the bench as that late game substitute. What an impact player, in my opinion, to come off the bench, a guy that can create for us. And I think he has wonderful foot skills and is great on the ball and maybe can provide assists. I don't see him being able to link up. He doesn't have the chemistry that we want with the team. But we see Gresselmania and Tito Villalba that can be on opposite wings with Miggy and Joseph. But then late in the game, if you want to kind of change things up, if Tito gets tired or Gressel gets tired or even Miggy, or if someone, God forbid, gets an injury, we can slot in Barco, and there's not much of a talent drop-off there as long as it's midfield related. And so I love having him as a bench option, especially down the stretch. So it's good that we have wonderful options off the bench, and that's about all I'm going to leave up for Ezequiel Barco.
Step up, Barco, is all I'm going to say. Let's talk about one thing that I know you've wanted to bring up, and I'm just going to make a point right now. I don't think we should let this distract us at all. It's fine to talk about it on social media. It's fine to speculate. But Tata Martino is our coach, and he's our coach until the end of the season, and we need to focus on this incredible run we're having, these incredible achievements that are still in front of us, and the best ever season in MLS history that we can achieve, and 2 trophies waiting on us, and birth into a very prestigious tournament, the Champions League for CONCACAF. But Joe, I know it's on your mind. I know it's on a lot of our fans' minds. Let's talk about some of these rumors about Tata leaving.
And Blake, that's well said. October 1st is the date. It's been well stated that Tata Martino will mention to our fan base if he's going to stay or leave. And so I'm sitting here dreading. Since I'm not a front office member and I'm not part of the coaching staff, I can be in the media and present options. If Tata Martino decides to leave, it's a big if, and my number one choice of keeping a manager is Tata Martino. But I am a soccer nerd, and I've gone out and already started to scout prospects. Who would we bring in to replace Tata? And that would be, in my mind, a worst-case scenario, because I want Tata to be here forever and the rest of his life. But I'm being a little realistic that it might not happen, and hopefully he stays on for at least another year or two. But if we go on, I've got a list of 5 coaches, and there's already been 2 of them rumored just a little bit that might come to Atlanta United. And I'm just going to run down really quick 5 coaches that I think Atlanta United should be targeting if we lose Tata.
I'm noticing a theme here.
It's all a theme of South American big name coaches. And let's go ahead and get out my number 1 choice, Jose Peckerman. This young, old 73-year-old from the Colombian national team. He took Colombia to 2 wonderful World Cup runs. He beat out Tata Martino for that job. So what a good way to bring in a guy that can still bring that South American flair. But then I got to thinking, he's a little old. I want someone who's younger and is on the rise. And there's this guy that came, he almost got the Columbus job last year. He is from Boca Juniors. His name is Guillermo Barros Chalato. And he is a young, upstart, hot-shot South American coach from Boca Juniors. And he would be a like-for-like replacement for Tata Martino.
And he's talked very well of MLS in the past. So I have read some articles on him mentioning that he really likes what Atlanta's doing. And he's seeing it as a stepping stone to go from Argentina to America and then hopefully to Europe. He sees it as kind of a 1-2-3. Could be a 1-2-3 for him. He sees it as a step up. I like that call right there.
So I like both of those as very potential options we could get. I want to run through 3 guys that are kind of reaching for the stars and hoping to go. But I'm going to stay on the younger side of things. And the most up-and-coming hotshot player, coach that we can get, I think, right now is Marcelo Gallardo, a guy from River Plate. He is this young upstart guy, and this is very wishful thinking. He's probably the hottest prospect. He's been linked to Atletico Madrid, but that's the type of guy we're going to have to shoot for if we want to keep that South American pipeline. And then 2 other guys that are older and well-established. Oscar Tabarez is kind of my dream coach to get. He's been coach of the year after year, and he coaches for Uruguay. But then the most like-for-like replacement we could ever get for Tata Martino is Marcelo Bielsa. They come from the same school of training, that tiki-taka form. But the only thing that might keep him from coming over to us, he just joined Leeds United this past June. So
they might get promoted to the Premier League this year. They're playing really well.
So it's very unlikely that we can pull him away. But that's where my mindset's going if it comes down to the very tragic state that we could lose Tata.
Yeah, and correct me if I say this wrong, Sampaoli from Argentina, who was in the World Cup, that's the most recent link that we've had, according to some Spanish source, that he's managed Argentina, Chile, and Sevilla. He could be coming in. Definitely a South American trend. We got a lot of South American talent on our team. Makes a lot of sense. Joe, I don't want to end our show talking about speculative stuff. Personally, I think this is great insight, and we can talk about it when that time comes. Let's talk about match predictions really quick. I got a 3-2 Atlanta United victory. I got 2 goals from Joseph. I got 2 goals from BWP. Actually, just kidding. BWP's not going to be playing.
Oh.
But I still got Gressel with the winner. I think Atlanta United wins this one 3-2 in a thriller on Sunday on ESPN.
I think we are going to have a thriller. It's going to be back and forth, and there's going to be a 2-0 win on the road for Atlanta United. And then come around Monday, Tata's going to be like, I'm taking them to the Champions League final, and we're going to win everything. Go Atlanta United. Woo!
All the way to the top. All the way to the cup. Let's do it, Joe. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Once again, I'm Blake the Marshman.
I'm ATL Joe. We love you guys.
See you Sunday. See you next week. Hail United.